For those of you guys who are here for the first time, we're glad to have you. Those don't make, hopefully it's not your last time. We're trusting referee Pete to do a good job tonight. So if you like it, please come back.
Yeah. Tip your waiter. I'll be there all week.
Tip your waiter. Love it. So I've had the privilege and honor to actually get to know referee Pete through the years, and had the opportunity. He needs part of the Wobble crew and just kind of teaching him. I think what boot camp did you go to, Pete?
Yeah, in person was the wealth and
income and wealth.
Yeah, wealth and income, October of 2021.
Oh, okay.
I went to that one.
And did you go to any? Is that the only one you've been doing? Nothing pre-COVID?
No, that was the one pre-COVID, October of 21. That was in Utah. And then I just
2020 was COVID, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah, but okay. So 2021, Utah, I think the airline still made you wear a mask, but Utah didn't.
Right.
And then I was in this last fall Wobble one, and that was online.
Yeah. Well, either way, I mean, anyways, we love to have you. I'd love to again. I've met with him one-on-one, did a one-on-one session last summer, and his trading has just taken off, right? Ever since that magical one-on-one. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I think your trading is actually just in the last 3 to 6 months has really skyrocketed. What would you say? When would you say you've kind of felt like your trading's kind of turned the corner? I mean, I'll let you answer that.
I've got some of that in kind of a journey destination.
Okay, here. So if we're going to talk about that in the slides, I want to get into it. But anyways, I know he's going to give us the backstory. That's what I'm excited about. But I'm really, I as somebody that's been on the sideline and has watched your journey, I am really amazed and pleased with the journey and the fact that you chose the topic to talk tonight about trusting the process, because I'm sure at some point in your journey, which you'll talk about, this wasn't something that you did really well, right? So again, that being said, I want to thank you for taking the time. You know, he doesn't get paid because I get all the money that we charge for you guys. Every single cent that we charge for you guys to attend this, it all comes to me.
Scrooge McDuck rolling in his money.
Yeah. But no, I appreciate you taking the time and basically helping us to trust the process. So I'm going to trust that you're going to deliver. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, for the next 3 hours, no. Thanks, Dave. Thanks, guys, for gals for popping in. The hot seats, the topic tonight, trusting the process. Dave asked when things really started to click and take off, and you'll kind of hear here in a moment, but the last 4 weeks, from the moment I joined the 5 to 50K group till today, things have the trusting and the processing, all of that has taken off. So, but before we jump into trust the process, I kind of teased this morning that I would give the origin story behind my moniker of Referee Pete. So this past October, like I just mentioned, I did the online boot camp. So the normal traders, the trainers were Sean, it was Nate, it was Rex, Kevin was there, and then Dave was there. And so over the course of the week, there was a time, and Dave, I don't know if you remember this, but either you were teaching and you asked us for questions, or I turned my mic on to ask a question. And so I asked, and you're like, hey, is this so-and-so? Because you sound like him. I'm like, no, this is Pete. He's like, oh, yeah, because I think that guy's a referee. Yeah. And so I was like, do you remember this?
Mm-hmm, I do.
Yeah. And so I was like, well, no, this is Pete. But actually, yeah, I am a referee. And then we started chatting. So then it actually happened again. And so we were further along in November. I was kind of popping in and out of the training, the Wobble crew. And I turned my mic on to talk. And you're like, hey. And I think it was Jared. You're like, hey, is this Jared? Because he's a ref. And I'm like, no, this is Pete. So I think we sounded alike. I said, you know what? I'm just going to change my moniker and something that I could just kind of sticks. And so people could tell, And actually a week or two, I think like another Pete hopped on. So it was like, hey, there's this guy and then there's referee Pete. So there,
Awesome.
there's my origin story because Dave could not.
I couldn't tell the difference between you and Jared.
Exactly. So there you go.
But I can now.
You can now, yeah.
Because Jared always talks about food. You don't.
I grew this beard just to match you.
Yeah, that's when you're trading.
That's when the trading took off. All right, so there you go. Hence the referee Pete. So here we go. The trusting the process. I've got the quickest introduction possible. My name's Pete Edmonson from Annandale, Minnesota. I've been trading with Apiary. I joined in June of 2021. And, like most of you, I love trading. I trade every day. I'm working towards making that the full-time career. To me, it is trading the Forex is this amazingly intellectual puzzle that can't be solved. But like I wrote down, I think it can be tamed from time to time. So for me, that's a little introduction there. Tonight, what I've got for us is five things. Inside the trusting the process, as I tried to wrap my arms around the entire concept when things started to click for me, maybe a week or two ago or 3 weeks ago, I found myself in our 5 to 50K hot seat sessions, I would chime in and I was actually using the verbiage of, yeah, if we just trust the process, it seems to be doing these things. If we just trust the process. And ironically enough, a couple of days after that, Dave and I had a couple of messages back and forth, and he's like, "Hey, when can I get you to do a Wednesday night?" And I said, here we go. I think I want to do trusting the process. And so that's how, for me, this mantra was born. And so of these 5 parts, first we'll go through why trusting the process might be the most important mantra that we, as traders of Trade the Fund, can adopt. And then as we adopt that, we got to figure out what does that mean. And so I've got some information on that. Also, the flip side, what does it not mean? So if we're going to trust the process, we got to define and put these items in that box. And then we got to decide, do we trust this thing or not? Am I going to hitch my wagon to this Trade the Fund process, or do I have a different strategy? So then once we kind of identify what trusting the process doesn't mean, number 4 would be, what does it look like? If we're trusting the process that Dave has created and morphed from just the straight up wobble into this Trade the Fund, what does that look like? If I plotted my trades and showed my other traders, could they see these elements in my trading? And then the last thing is, what happens when we trust the process? And I mentioned this in a Discord after our trading session this morning, but the last 2 days, I went back and plotted and took screenshots of my 2 trading sessions. And I'm going to walk you through those, and you'll see just how successful or unsuccessful I was as I continue to have this mantra, trust the process. Okay. So in order to talk about trusting the process, I do have to give you a little bit of a backstory. So for me, you could identify it as, here's your journey. I've got a journey. You've got a journey. They're all unique. They may be longer or shorter, but there's definitely no shortcuts. I would say if there's one thing that we can learn, is that there's no magic wand. There's no special indicator. There's no one thing that Dave is teaching us that will then trigger all of our trades to be winning, right? So for what we're doing, this is a destination, and there's always a road trip involved. So tonight, I'm hoping that this mantra, this concept of trusting the process, you can add it onto your road as you're heading to the destination. And obviously, our destination is we want to be profitable, successful traders. To me, that's why we're here. So with the rewind button, like I mentioned in the introduction, I joined Apiary in 2021 after luckily stumbling across one of Sean's videos on YouTube. And maybe that's how you found apiary or trade the fund, or maybe a friend referred you. But either way, I had never really traded. I'd never really done anything serious before. I was looking for a way to get into maybe trading stocks, maybe trading Forex. And after I was watching a lot of videos, these online gurus, seeing things that you didn't have a good feeling about because it was always in hindsight. I saw how Sean traded in these videos. They were live trading. And even in the boot camps that I've attended, I always bring that up. I'm like, hey, I've never seen anyone trade live. That's why I signed up with apiary. So I contacted them, I signed up, and after going through Beeline, and this is going to kind of make me sound like back in my day, we didn't have the internet. But back in my day in Beeline, just 2 years ago, there was no trade the fund. Dave hadn't started that. I don't even know if publicly there was a trader on the street yet. So maybe they were creating that. But for us September of this last year, before Dave started this entire Discord group, we would join Beeline. We would get a strong base of training and foundation, and then we would have to qualify and get through bronze level 1, 2, and 3, silver level 1, 2, and 3. Maybe you guys went through the Beeline like I did, but after joining in June 2021, I went through the whole process pretty quick. And I think I would attribute that to I'm self-employed. And so my work flexibility, I work from home, I got a home office. I have more than one monitor, Nick. So I would have one monitor with Beeline on. I'd have one monitor with my work. I'd have my laptop. And so I could go through it during the work days. And maybe you couldn't do it as fast as that. So I knew, and this is kind of the sticking point for me, even though I went all the way through Beeline, and even though I got funded in October of 2021, so 5-6 months, whatever it was, even though I passed all those challenges, I had a good foundation, but I knew in the back of my mind that I really didn't have confidence in my trading to actually do two things. I knew I couldn't really trade anyone else's real money. And I knew that I couldn't really make a living at it. So I don't think I tricked or gamed the system going through Beeline, but there's ways to go through it and come out with a really good training, but also not be 100% prepared and had a lot of holes in your trading strategy, if that makes sense. So I did a lot of what I would say other people did and continue to do. I looked for more education. I looked for more training. I was gobbling up Dave's Trader on the Street videos because, like many of you, when we try and we fail, we go look for more education, we train, we do it all over again. So Dave asked about the in-person boot camp. And so I went to that in October of 2021, and this was in person. It was in Utah. It was the Wealth and Income. So me and the other traders there, we met basically for me, it was the first time in person, the apiary crew. It was Sean, it was Nate, it was Kevin, it was Rex, it was Ron, it was this macho guy with a backwards hat, David Moffett. So I remember during
had a backwards hat?
You do this. Yeah. There you go. Okay. So again, I don't know if you remember this because I had never met you before, at least in person. I don't think I talked to you in any sort of a training. So I was actually assigned to Rex's training or crew until after this Beeline, and he said, you know what? I think you need to switch to Dave's because all you keep talking about is wobbling. But during your training session, you were on like day 2 or maybe the third day. So you come in and you're like, okay, here's the wobble technique. Let's do our thing. All right, somebody tell me what are the 1, 2, 3s of the wobble? And I literally had no idea what you're talking about. And so you mentioned that you were a basketball fan. So I was like, Utah Jazz? I don't know.
I do
so
remember that.
You're like, no, trend. Anyone biased? Bueller. So obviously, right, it was trend, bias, price cycle. But for me, that was the first time I had heard any of that. See, at the time, and again, I'm sounding like I'm 100 years old here, but at the time, I wasn't a part of your wobble crew. And the only training or the only opportunity we had for live training was Thursday morning with that 1 hour with Sean and Nate. And then when we did join your crew, it's kind of hard to believe how far we've come. But when we joined your crew, we got you for 2 hours, Tuesday morning and then Thursday. So there wasn't a lot of foundation for me with the wobble. So as I became a part of the wobble crew, right? The first, I was trying to explain to a friend of mine, like, okay, so I'm in this trading, I'm doing these things, and I'm like, okay, this guy, his name is Sean, and he's just like the most mild-mannered dude. And I'm like, he's like the Michael Jordan of trading. And then I said, I got back to this boot camp. I'm like, and Dave, he's like the Jeff Hornacek of trading. And for all you Utah Jazz fans, Jeff Hornacek, he's a lunch pail guy, right? You know Jeff.
I do.
There you go. All right, so now, so fast forward to now, right? We get Dave for 2 hours, 5 times a week. Plus we get the Wednesday night, plus we get the Thursday, plus we get the 5 to 50 group, plus we get the growth challenge group. On the horizon, Dave, you're creating the trading league stuff. I think I heard something about infinity stones. So we've got like 10 to 14.
Infinity accounts, not infinity stones.
Oh, okay. Trademark.
Yeah, exactly. Don't want it. Disney's ruthless.
Yeah. Bleep that one out.
Exactly.
So we've got right now as a Discord group, we've got 10 to 14 hours a week of just solid training, right? And that's, I mean, you go back even half a year ago, you can see, Dave, you asked, hey, when did your trading take off? I mean, holy cow. In the last 3, 4, or 5 months, how could it not? If you're plugging in 2 hours a day, wow, right? Okay, so as part of this journey for me, I leave that boot camp in 2021. And like most everybody that goes to boot camp, you get a wealth of information and you're excited. And you come back and either the next day or the day after, you're trading 0.01, 0.02 lots, you're getting 0.5% a day, 3 days in a row, and then all of a sudden, you margin out 5%, and you have no idea why. And then boom, you do it again. And then it's Friday, so you're like, well, what just happened? How can I be down 12% in a week? And it's completely demoralizing. And so the reason I'm laying this all out is for the rest of 2021 and most of 2022, I traded every day, one screen here and one screen for work, trying to learn, trying to figure this thing out. Very little success, consistent success, confidence success. It hadn't clicked. But what gave me hope was that when Sean would open up his Thursday morning trading and say, good morning, traders, I would look down at his pit count and he'd be up 3%. And I'm like, how in the world did you get 3? And it's a $50,000 account. 3 to 10% every time we saw him trade. And then Dave, you're getting 1%, 1%, 1%. Like, how in the world? I've said this before in our wobble boot camps. I said, you may not realize this, and these other traders may not realize this, but if you can consistently get 1% trading a day, you are a millionaire. You can trade and have the freedom to trade as long as you want. 1% does not happen outside of our trading community. And that's the hope that continued to drive me back. Okay, here is the bottom line. I kept trying to figure out how to be right. And in my journey, it was so frustrating. And maybe you guys listening to this, you also are using that same thought process. I got to figure out where the market's going. I got to figure out, oh my goodness, why did it suddenly flip on me? What is going on? And so you go through this tug of war. I can't tell you how many times I thought I was doing exactly what Sean was doing. I'd open up my laptop. I try to assess. I try to look at the market. I get into my first layer and I'd be successful for 10 pips. And then 20 minutes later, how am I down 500 unrealized pips? I'm yelling at the market. Where are you going? What is going on? How can there has to be something to figure out so then we can be right. And for me, all through up to the summer of 2022, I had to take a break from the apiary trading rooms, right? And so I didn't quit. I still traded every day, but like some of you, I went looking for more information. Here's a trading strategy. Here's another trading group, right? And in the meantime, I'm trying not to lose 20% and get reset. And I'm trying to get back to even. And throughout all of that summer, and maybe you guys have the same information that I do. I learned all about Fibonacci ratios. I learned about Fib extensions. I learned about the patterns in the Fibonacci. Well, sometimes the probability when it goes to the 382, it's going to bounce and it's going to go to the 618 and it's going to, okay. Can we build a strategy around it? I learned all about the MACDs. I learned all about the Fibonacci candles, the Bollinger Bands, and all these things that everybody else has. I kept trying to figure out how to be right. So let me say that again. How can I be right? Because if I'm wrong, that means I'm losing, and there's the frustration. Okay? So this fall, I plugged back in. And in the Wobble Crew, Dave starts to introduce this concept of, hey guys, I wanted to see how long it would take me to take a $5,000 account and get it to 50,000. And Dave, again, I don't remember if you remember the timeline, but it was somewhere around October when you started to tell us that. And you were, I think, again, correct me if the details are wrong, but sometime in July you started and then you accomplished it sometime in October or November. But I knew in my mind, if someone were to come to me back in October and November of this last year and say, hey, here's $10,000. I heard you're a trader. Or if they would say to me, here's $100,000. You can trade this, right? You can trade my money. And I knew objectively, I knew that I still couldn't. And so that may be a good question to ask yourself as well. Right now, if you're seasoned, if you're maybe you're one of the guys on the hot seat, if you've been trading for a while, or maybe if you're a brand new trader but you think you've got it, if somebody offered you money and said, hey, here you go, do you have what it takes? Are you saying right on, let's go? Or are you doing what I knew I needed to do? I would turn it down for fear of losing it. Or like Dave mentioned this morning about that other prop firm or trading firm, they drew it down 25% in a week, right? So for me, I knew I had to trade down that money. It still hadn't clicked yet. So in a 4-week span, maybe you can relate to this. I'd be up 4%. And then 1 week I'd be down 6%. And then 1 week I'd be up 3%. And then down 8%. And then down 2%, and the month would close out, right? So the frustration was still there. Now, that brings us to the fall of 2022. And like I said, Dave introduces this Discord group and the Trade to Fund. And so originally he started with his group of friends and his dad. And so I followed along silently in the evening trading sessions, and Dave and that group, they were trading on MetaTrader, and we were certainly allowed to follow along and trade on apiary if we wanted, or LVO, I should say. And I knew something still was missing. I was still trying to be right. I was still trying to figure it out. And out of my frustration in November, having a terrible month, I took a break. Most of November, didn't even sniff around Discord anymore. And
I remember it was so lonely.
Well, okay. So here's the thing, Dave. Again, like you've got a lot of traders, and so you and I, we don't go 10 years back. I'm not from Utah. We didn't ride skateboards and rollerblades as kids. But you sent me a private message, and you're like, "Hey, bud, I haven't seen you around for a little bit. I'm just checking to see how you're doing. Hit me up. And I think he even joked and said, I didn't say anything that made you upset, did you? And so that, it was totally out of the blue. And I don't think we had messaged each other a lot. So it's not like I was in your top 5 messages, but that meant a lot. And so I responded and I said, hey, no, everything's fine. I was just so emotionally frustrated on my journey here. And I was fried out, trying to learn how to wobble and be right and try to figure stuff out. Okay. So then after New Year's, I was back in. And when I plugged back into after New Year's, your group had grown and completely changed. It morphed into this new generation of traders. So all of a sudden, I joked about this before, but all of a sudden, there's this guy named Duke and Josh Hunter and Josh Madriga and One Monitor Nick and Doug and Jeremy and Norma and Helicopter Ed and Tom and Cliff and Brandon and Robin and all of these people. And the 5 to 50K look completely different. I was used to trading, the point, the 2 lot limit, and you guys were trading double the lots and double the margin and having this great success. So here's what happened. I started to trade long, and I actually earned a paycheck in January, and then I missed it a little bit in February. But in mid-February, this to me, in my journey, my destination, this was the turning point. I was watching your Trader on the Street. It was a Thursday video, but I was watching on Saturday because I missed it. It was the most recent one at that time. And you said something at the end of that video, and you gave a quick summary of what I mentioned, how you said, hey, back in the summer, I did this into the fall, the 5 to 50K without telling anyone. And you told us that story. And you said you were talking to your buddies and they wanted to do it. And so you said something to the effect of, I grabbed a group of my buddies and my pops to see if I could train them to do it too. And you said after a couple weeks or after a month, they all give up.
Except for my dad.
And and you caveat that, right? It wasn't what you weren't digging on them, but you said, or life happened, and other things happened, and they had to step away, or it was a different season of life, or they quit, or they stopped, or something happened. And I remember it was Saturday, February 18th, and I immediately, because of that, I said, you know what, I'm in. Like if Dave is willing to, give us this instruction, and right now I've just been riding the coattails. I said, I'm in. I jumped online. I signed up for 5 to 50K. I messaged you that night and I said, hey, it's a Saturday night. I just got done watching this class. I'm in. And guys, I'm telling you, there may not be another company out there where the expert in the industry that you're in wants to come to you and say, hey, I'll trade you to be an expert just like me. And so I thought, you know what, Dave, if there's other people that are turning this opportunity down or they needed time away or they're stepping away, I'm jumping in. And so that's when I signed up for the 5 to 50K. And then the next week.
Can I just say one thing here really quick?
Yeah.
I don't want to ruin your flow, but for everybody listening, I did not pay him. I'm not paying him to say any of this stuff. I was like, it feels like I'm about ready to pitch you guys. Okay, so everything he says is great. So now to get started,
tell me your last 4 of your social security number.
Sky has his hand up.
Well, if you need another free endorsement, I'm more than willing to back up everything Pete's saying, because this experience has changed my life. I've been trying to trade for 12 something years, and until I found Apiary, until I found the Beeline, until I found the boot camps, until I found this Discord group, my trading was nowhere, and it has improved massively, and it's been fun doing it. So, Pete, I don't want to take your thunder. I'm just telling David, if he wants another free endorsement, I'm all for it.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Josh Hunter, for your comment, because then it equalizes everything out. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Hold on. I gotta do the fake tears. All right. Now
I'm not a paid I'm not a paid endorser. I'm just a very satisfied customer.
Yeah.
Look, Robin says, look at the marketer ruining Pete's sales pitch.
You know what I really wish? I wish Dave had like the hair growth ointment, because then I'd be all for that. So
Not only am I
a client.
I'm not only am I the owner, but I'm a client too.
Yeah. So not to get mushy on that road, but and not to keep doing this monologue for 5-10 minutes, but there's a journey here that got me all the way to our next number one. Okay. And it's this. I needed you to hear the entire struggle that I had, how I got to where I was, constantly looking for more education, constantly looking for how can I figure this out? How can I be right? I got to figure out where the market is going. So now here's what I've come to accept. On number one, trusting the process. Here's what I've come to accept. And for me, these are I statements. I do not know where the market is going today, or in the next hour, or even in the 5 minutes. Number two, I will never be 100% correct in my guess or prediction. I have to accept that. As part of what? As part of the trusting the process. As part of the trade the fund strategy, I have to accept these things. I have to accept that I never have to be right in order to be successful in that trading session. And the last one is, I will never again say to myself, I don't have to, I will never say to myself, I was wrong in the way I thought the market was going to go. Okay? Now, I know that we all have different personalities, and I know that there may be some plot holes in these 4 things that I listed out. And maybe some of you might bristle at this and say, well, there's ways that we can guess, and there's probabilities, and there's so many things that we could rebut about what I've listed here. I'm trying to just lay a baseline for me on this is the mantra that has to be in our brain when we accept the trade the fund trading strategy. Okay? So as we all watch the hot seat traders every day, every week, as spectators, we've all heard me and we've all heard other traders. We're trying to guess where this thing's going to go. And, a lot of times Dave says, hey, you know what? I think we're going to go up to this spot. And I think even today or maybe yesterday's trading session, hey, you know what? The market wants to go here. And we've seen him be right, but it might take 20 or 30 minutes. Or it might be correct after 2 moves down or 1 move up or 3 moves down. And then it went to where Dave predicted it was going to go. And that's 100% cool. But 80%. if we think that we can 100% correct this, or we're trying to find a way to do that, then we're not trusting this process. Because what Dave is showing us with Trade the Fund, you don't have to be right to be successful and profitable in that trading session. Okay? Now, what I'm saying is, Dave, the process he has created, if you trust in that, then you're never going to have to be right in order to be successful. You're never going to have to say to yourself all of these things. So these are my I statements. I can turn around and look at you and say, you don't have to know where the market's going. You don't have to know that you have to be right in order to be successful. All 4 of those things, okay? So as I go into step number 2 of trusting the process, we've got to define what is in that, I would say, strategy that Dave's created. So here we go. If I'm creating a training to try and explain to my brother who's never traded before, or my neighbor, or my grandma, here's what I'm telling them. This is the trade the fund process in a nutshell. Number 1, because we're not going to be right, our process doesn't allow it immediately. We have to be comfortable in the uncomfortable. So as a sidebar here, I coached my daughter's travel basketball team last 2 nights ago at our practice. I literally told our point guard and the rest of the girls that, hey, as you get older, the other teams, they're going to be pressing you as you bring the basketball up the court. So that's an uncomfortable feeling to have somebody who never used to give you pressure as you got the ball and brought it across half court. Now they're up on you and they're trying to steal the ball. That's uncomfortable. So guess what I told her? I said, you have to become comfortable in the uncomfortable. So get used to it. Okay. So what does that mean in our trading? Well, for our trading, being uncomfortable is having negative, unrealized pips while we're in a trade. Being uncomfortable is having a negative daily percent while we're in this trade. So if that's always going to happen to us because it's baked into the pie, then we have to be comfortable with that. We can't freak out. We can't bail out of a trade because we're negative, right? Okay. So to me, the next thing that you've got to trust in, you've got to believe in is price cycles. I might be as bold to say as regardless of trend, regardless of bias, price cycle for this strategy is king. Our whole trading strategy revolves around the fact that the market predominantly moves in 1 or 2 or 3 price cycles. And if it didn't do that, it's because it popped into an outside range or there was news or something else was happening. But predominantly, we can trust that price cycles will happen, just like trusting the sun's coming up in the morning. There was I got a message after the hot seat today from someone that I've chatted with, private message. And one of the things, ironically, they said was, so Pete, what specifically allows you or what gives you confidence to trust those price cycles that they're going to happen? Because he used the word, I was scared and I didn't know and I was unsure, right? And my response to him was, hey, did you watch the trading session this morning? And he said, no, he watches them after the fact because he's at work. And I said, go listen to the first 15, 20 minutes of Boz and Dave talking, because Dave throws out this question and he says, hey, do you guys remember the question this morning? It was, who created price cycles, right? And so for 50,000 Dave Moffitt points, who created the price cycles?
Don't spend them all in one place.
Don't spend them all in one place. Yeah, so Sean did, right? Thank you, Brandon. You get 10 points.
No, he gets 0 because he spelled Sean wrong.
He spelled Sean wrong. Sean and
Sean.
Jeff.
Yeah.
There you go. So the reason that our strategy treats price cycles like the gold standard is because in order for our strategy to be successful, we are relying on those. We put all of our eggs in that basket, so to speak. And then number 3 is action points. We need to trust that action points are going to happen. And when those action points happen, like Dave says, every time in those hot seats, are we getting in? Are we getting out? Are we holding and waiting? I got to go let my dog out. Okay. So we have to trust the action points. Again, you're never again do you have to be 100% right in order to be successful in that trading session. And I'm going to show you at the end of these slides my 2 trading sessions yesterday and today. I think I was probably 60 or 70% right. Okay. So here's one of the best things. If you're in a bad trade or bad trades, you're building, our process, if you trust it, and not our process, Dave's Trade the Fun copyright process allows you to fix it for profit. Okay.
I feel a little uncomfortable, so I just gotta interject. It's not.
Please do.
I learned everything from Sean, so I'm not. It's not like I added my flavor and twist on it, but I just feel like a little uncomfortable having you give me 100% credit like Dave's process. I mean, yes, I've added my own flavor to it, and I've taken what I've learned and the best parts for sure. And there's some that I have ultimately created, but I just feel uncomfortable with all the love
So
now it's Pete's process. Yeah. Our process that we created.
Write all your checks out for cash to Pete. So the only, not the only reason, but I originally started, and everywhere in this presentation where it says trusting the trade to fund, I had wobble, and I was like, you know what? Yes, Sean created all of this, and you got this from Sean, and the flavor that you added is what I'm coining because our Discord is named Trade to Fund. So yes, I don't mean to make you blush and then give credit where the credit's not due.
Right. No, I just want to interject as well. Right.
Absolutely, and that makes total sense. Okay, so let's look at number 3 then. So here's what trusting the process doesn't mean. If the previous was this is what it means, I guess I would better state it as I was trying to define this. If you don't trade the fund, then these are the things that you're going to do. Okay, so you're gonna verbalize things like, well, I was scared, or you're going to say that you lost or that you're losing. You're going to say that you guessed wrong. You're going to say, I'm going to say, I have said, I got out because it's going the other way. It popped on me and I got out to try and switch. I mistakenly thought that it was going to do this. And so now I'm losing and now I'm getting out. Okay. That psychologically is something that if we don't trust the process, those are the things, that's the verbiage that we are saying during our trading, whether we realize it or not. Well, I hope it doesn't drop here because, then I'm going to be negative. That's not trust in our process. Okay, number 2, attempting to commingle some strategies. There's long-term trading strategies, there's day trading, there's target trading, there's other scalping, and I'm sure those will all work if you trust in those. But if you find yourself trying to hedge, like every day you're hedging while you're losing on a trade, that's not what Dave's teaching us, right? Now, there is in that hedging, what was it? The belay trade, right? So Dave's coined that belay trade, but when's the last time we saw Dave or anyone in the hot seat do a belay trade? So if you're constantly hedging, okay, well, maybe you're mixing, you need to look at yourself and look at your process and say, am I trusting the process that I've hitched my wagon to? Or scalping. Am I constantly scalping one way while I'm losing because, again, this is me. Last week before, I was buying. This thing is leaving. So now I'm going to start selling. I'm going to start selling. And then what did the market do? It completely flipped, right? So now I'm losing while selling instead of, the hindsight jar. If I only would have stayed in my buys, 20 minutes later, here we are. Why didn't I trust the process, right? So if you find yourself doing those same things and getting those same non-profitable results, can you say that you're trusting this process? So that's what I've coined as, hey, that's the evidence for me. If I'm not trusting the process when I look back on my trading session, these things pop up. They pop up in my trading all the time. Okay? All right. What does trusting the process look like? And this is the slide that we could add on to over and over and over again. If I trust the process, I'm building in a position sizing. If I trust the process, I'm using the break-even line as I build. If I trust the process, I've got action points, I'm recycling, I've got my PTP. Dave, you want to do the?
Yeah, you know me.
There you go. So I've got proper trade placement because those are in my toolbox in this trade to fund strategy, right? And I would say almost all of this is probably in the wobble strategy as well. So again, I don't want to pretend like Sean doesn't exist because he's the whole reason we're here. We've got the process for consolidation. We utilize the rule of 3. Right? And anyone that's been here for more than a week could rattle off the 3 attempts. The first attempt, what do? We play the retracement.
Oh,
Prepare to fade a candle. What do, right? So the second attempt, what do we do on the second attempt? Anybody with a microphone on. What do we do we wait for what?
Confirmation.
Confirmation on whether it fails or continues. You guys know this as easy as I could write it down, right? I've seen traders in different strategies, they always buy a double bottom, which is basically a V, and they always sell a double top, which is an N. So while we hitch our wagons to the W's and the M's, they're doing V's and N's, but they can trust that because of price cycles. And then the third attempt, we know what we do on third attempt, right? We assume the
position.
What? We
assume the position.
We assume the position. And the position is this. I can't wait for the money.
Up against the wall.
Both hands on the car.
We sell and wait.
We sell and wait to get owned. Thanks, Nick. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's not a part of my presentation. Look at the rest here. This is very simple for us that have been here. We see this stuff day after day. We watch candle by candle action. We ride the wave. We win while lose. We trade the news. There's ways to fib after the news. All of these things. Is there anything else that I'm missing there? Anything that is just a glaring, hey, you forgot this in our trusting the process toolbox?
You forgot the small p after PTP.
Yeah, you know me. Fading, yep. Fading is in there. You bet. Fading is that part of the. It can be. We could put little branches onto each one of these points. So you guys know exactly how to do this process. It's the question of do we trust it and can we be disciplined enough?
Don't buy or sell at the end of a price cycle.
There you go. Yep.
Bad PTP.
Bad PTP. That's bad. All right. So next, number 5, here's what it looks like, okay? So this, trusting the process. Here's what happens when we trust the process. This was yesterday, okay? Now, from what I'm showing you here, if you had to guess what I'm showing you, what is this an example of? What would you guys say as far as example? What is this that I'm showing you? Aside from like a chart, what is this?
Building position.
Okay, what else? What else are you seeing here? It's a 1-minute chart. It's a euro dollar. It was our hot seat trading session yesterday. Was this with Brandon? I don't remember.
Yeah, it was Brandon.
Okay. So Lisa had some wobble stuff, double bottom, okay. So this is my hot seat account. I was trading 0.05s during Brandon's session. Would you be surprised to learn that this is about 80 minutes of work and this is over 1%? Good job, Robin, you got it. This is 1%, 1.18 on the day. Now, if Dave were to look at this, can you see my mouse?
I am looking at it.
I know. Okay, so here's the good news. Can you guys see my mouse?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's where I started, right? And we're just gonna go a little bit play by play. And what you're gonna see is I didn't do everything right. There wasn't perfect proper trade placement, PT, okay? There wasn't that. But this trading process allows us to be successful in trading even when we are not perfect in the process. So here, I'm gonna sell, I got out. Buy, I started buying. Now I think, looking at previous information, so I start buying, building into the buys, I get out. There's some sells here, sell. I think this was okay, so here we go, right? So we're down here. Now I got out here. I think I bought, I sold. So I sold here, got out, okay? Boom, you can see the rest here. You'll notice there's orange here. In my chart, I do orange and green, as you can see, a little aqua. But this was a sell. Now, at the time, in hindsight, is this perfect trade placement? Well, I don't think so. We're at the end of a price cycle. It started to pull back. I thought which is, it's okay to think where the market's going. It's okay. Clearly, it's okay to have a bias. You need to have one. I thought and was planning for the market to drop. And I was going like this, right? So it pulled back a little bit and I got into a sell, got into a sell, got into a sell. I trusted the process. I didn't freak out when this candle came up. This is a price cycle. This is a price cycle. Guess what happens next? Probably another price cycle up or down. I sold. Okay. I didn't get out here, and who knows why? I didn't do an audio, right? Maybe I thought that I was waiting for it to come touchdown here. Maybe Dave said, "Don't get out." So take a look here, right? So I'm here. I got out, and then I built in the buys for one last push. I might have been up 0.5% or 0.75%. Bye, right? And I'm out right there, 1.18%. Okay. So there was a reason why I followed the process, but I wasn't perfect at it. And that's the good news. You don't have to be perfect. You're going to continue to learn from these smaller mistakes, and it's not going to kill you. So this is today. Before I took my kids to school, I put on a couple of little scalps. And so here's where Boz's trading session started today. And if everyone recalls Boz just going yap for like a half hour, I started to put buys on. So I think the bias was maybe coming up. I don't quite remember, but price cycle, buy. After this point, when this broke, I didn't freak out. This was only like 4 or 6 pips. So now I'm negative pips. I'm negative % return, right? We're here. I put a couple on at the action point. It broke through. It stalled. I put a couple on. I trusted the process. And when it popped up past this action point, I think maybe it stalled right here in this mini candle, I got out. The reason I got out, as I was trying to remember back, I think this is about 0.25%. So if I'm going for 1%, I only need 4 iterations of 0.25%, and I'm there. And so you can see here, look at the difference between this orange and this orange, okay? There's a lot of orange here. Buy. I think right here I was probably in about 1.2, 1.3 lots total, which it's heavy if you're in a 2-lot account. It's not heavy if you're in a 5 to 50K account, right? And so at the end here, here's the last thing I want to show you guys. Right here, I got out and I got my goal for the day. I was over 1%. I had just reached 200 pips, but I looked at my balance, and I was about $6 away from going over the $100 mark. So the next $100, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go a couple more pips. And so here's the last thing I want to share with you. I bought. Down here, by the time this thing came down here, I no longer had 1%. I was negative. I'm building in a position. My 200 pips was now getting sucked up by unrealized pips. But I trusted the process. There's 2 price cycles down. It started to pop. I think there was other resistance over here. It came up. What does Dave always say? I just need one. What does Sean always say? I just need one good price cycle. It got to right here. Right here is when I got out at 1.53%. In an hour and a half, or almost maybe just shy of 2 hours, of 1.5%. I made mistakes. I didn't do everything correct. I trusted the process and didn't freak out. I had over 200 and some pips. And the last thing I'm showing you, this is my trading journal, 5 to 50K. I mentioned earlier that I signed up on February 18th. This is a Monday, February 20th, no Discord holiday, okay? I didn't trade until like Wednesday. I don't know what happened Tuesday, but so first day trading with the group, 2%, 1%, 1%. My first week I made 4%, and that was fantastic. If you guys remember, this was my first hot seat. With the help of Dave, I caught some mini waves, ride the waves. 4%. I'm going to tell you straight up. You guys have seen me trade. Remember, Dave Gahn did not trade this account. This is the day that I blew up the demo account that I had. This 4% is with the help of Dave. By Dave saying, don't get out right here. There's an action point. Otherwise, I probably would have had 1%. But I didn't get out. Instead, I built into the trade. I secured the trades. Do you guys remember that? 1%, 2%, 1%. Look, this is Mr. Boz. Lost on Talking Head News testimony. I had never experienced this type of news before. I lost 10%. On the week, I only lost 4.5%. So I gained back 5.5% in the other 3 days, about 4 days. The next week I did this. This was last week. I was gone a couple days on vacation. I was in the hot seat on this day. And then these are the 3 days this week. I showed you this plotted day, 1.18. This is today. I went over the 6,100 mark today.
So awesome.
4%. Now,
Fantastic.
so in my 23 trading days, I'm up 20%, 4,500 pips in 1 month. And like I mentioned to some of you guys in the Discord, I trade my Ron account, in the non-hot seat session times. Okay. So why am I showing you my trading journal? It's not to
You want
brag.
to brag. Yeah, I know.
I said it before you did. It's not to brag. It's not to, many of you out here, you have bigger returns. You have better returns. You have bigger days than I do, right? The reason I'm showing you this, and the reason I spent almost a half an hour boring you with my journey and destination story, is because I'm a testimony that if you stay on your journey through the ups and downs, it will lead you closer to your destination. And you could say, I don't think we ever truly reach our destination. We just continue to grow and mature. So I hope that the mantra of trusting the process with Trade the Fund, I'd like to think by me showing you my trading journal, it's a sample to convince you that if I can do it, so can you.
If there ever was a statement that I really believed, right? That would be it. That if Pete can do it, so can you.
If this referee clown can do it, so can you.
When I say that statement, I know people are like, but I will say this about Pete. Yeah, there is no yeah buts with Pete. He probably yes, you've been trading for a while, since 20. When's your first day? I mean, when's your first year that you started trading?
Somebody help Dave out. Who is listening besides Dave?
Well, I know it's 2021.
June of 2021 is when I started with Apiary.
Right, but that was with Apiary. But I was wondering if you traded before, prior to that.
No, I hadn't.
Okay, that's what I was asking. It was like,
yeah, sorry.
Right.
I knew a couple of little things, and I dinked around with a couple of buddies on demo accounts, but nothing. So only baseball cards.
I like it. So if he coaches basketball, wise, wear a baseball cap. No, I love it, and I came from the same kind of, I grew up exactly how you grew up as a trader, right? With Apiary Fund, learned everything, and I felt there was a big disconnect. Honestly, not to take anything away from what Sean and Nate had built, but I felt like Beeline was great for starting, and it was awesome. But obviously, then what, right? Where do you go? And I had to figure it out myself because there wasn't a place. And
right.
So, I owe everything, all my success in trading and everything is because of Apiary and Sean. And so I want to make that very clear. But it really wasn't until Sean put me as the wobble crew captain to teach the wobble that I really learned that. And if you guys have ever seen my talent and skill that I taught in the wobble technique, I use this word is like, I found that my talent, because I love helping people find their success. And I don't say that as it to be arrogant or anything like that. For me, when I talk about talents, it's like something that you really enjoy doing. And I really, really enjoy doing it. And for me, a talent is something that you could do for free, right? And you could do it for free because you love it so much. And that's what I never taught trading ever until I started becoming the Wobble crew captain. And I found that I just loved it. But it wasn't enough, right? It wasn't enough, like just trading in the morning and trading and then doing a class. And I shared this with you guys this week, even, that I hate doing repetition. And I hated teaching that Thursday night class the way that Sean wanted me to teach. He wanted me to teach the same thing over and over and over and over. And I was like, I can't do that. That's not me. So that's kind of the evolution. So thank you, Pete. I really, really appreciate you giving me a huge hour of testimonial. That feels like what it was. I promise, guys, I didn't sell him. Didn't do anything like that. But if you guys have any questions for him, I'd appreciate it. But I will say this, that I will ask this question. So I got hit up with a couple people while you were talking, Pete. And the question is, do you think you would be where you're at today if you didn't have the hot seat versus just sitting in the audience? Does that make sense? How has the hot seat helped you in your trading, or do you think you would have gotten that just by being in the audience? Does that make sense?
Yeah, good question. There were two things to that. I would say that the hot seat has a level of accountability that if I stayed in the audience and was silently coming along like I was, it allowed me to kind of bounce in and out. One of the best things that you did in the Discord was that 1% a day club. Mm-hmm. If you, and even Robin, hey, huge shout out to Robin for keeping that spreadsheet going, because that was my motivation while I was on vacation in Florida. I can't let people pass me. I got to get my 1%, right?
Yeah, you are in the pole position right now, so congrats for that, for sure.
Now, here's the thing. Back in the summer, when you and I had that trading session, and you were offering to review our trading session. We would record it, we would send it to you, and then you would look through it and help us. That was good, but also nothing like this live hot seat stuff. My first session with you, again, I said it twice in this presentation tonight. I knew in the back of my mind that I could not trade honestly if I was objective with myself, other people's money. The second that you gave that, we did that hot seat session, you picked 2 or 3 things right away. Hey, PTP, you know me, right? PTP.
You were the one that caught, and you took it and you owned it, but it did come from you, right? It was proper trade placement, Pete. And they're like, PTP, that's where it came from with that hot seat session. Now everybody knows what PTPs are. So
there you go.
Thank you for felling so that everybody can learn.
Yeah, hey, happy to do that. Now here's the thing. In what I had here for this presentation, I'm not 100% right on everything I said, right? I had to form an opinion. I had to try and explain it. So there's probably things in here that other people will say like, well, I don't 100% agree with that. That's totally cool. All I'm saying is you and Sean and the group, you've created a process, and it wasn't until it clicked and helped me to trust that my trading and my confidence and the scaredness went away. So I don't know if I could say that I would have had that same accountability if I didn't join the hot seat to be in the seat. So there you go. I don't know if that's an answer or a non-answer, but.
Well, I'm biased in this opinion, but I really have seen the trajectory of everybody in the hot seat that has had, 3 or 4. And I posted that in Discord the other day of you guys' equity curves, you guys what you're doing. I knew at some point, one of you guys is going to click, and it has clicked for more than one of you guys. But I'm like, who's going to be the first that has it click and where you're starting to grow your account, right? And
I will say that I followed along in January, and it helped when you were trading with the first group on MetaTrader and that. December, November, it helped. In February, things came crashing down again. That early part, I said, I laid out my story. You know, but that hot seat, what you do, what you offer us is just fantastic. It's
and I'm going to add a little teaser here for everybody because it's just going to get better. And I haven't announced this, and I'm not going to right now. But I've been putting together something that I had an awesome idea of how it's going to get better and how everybody's going to be able to be lifted up. One of the things that I've learned in the journey, like talking about the journey, completely is shifted from where we started to where we're at today, because I try to learn what you guys gravitate to, right? And so in December, it was all about, can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it? Can I do it? And that's where I thought that I needed to be. But this hasn't even grown until I turned the conversation from me to you, not Pete, but to you guys. And as soon as I turned the conversation and opened up the hot seat and turned the conversation towards how the 1% to you guys, it started to really take off. And it had to have a lot of iterations until I figured that out. And now I'm really excited to bring the next piece to you guys in here in the evolution of turning the conversation to you. It's not about the guru in the chair, which is 90% of what else is out there. Like, listen to me, follow me, I'm the expert. No, it's about turning you guys into the expert. And that's what I'm excited about in the next evolution of it. Right.
Yeah.
Hey, I would say one of the thing is when you're looking, when us as traders, when we're looking at that 1% a day club, and we're seeing guys like Duke and these other people, 5%, and who is it? I can never remember his name. Jasper. He did 3,000, 10,000 pips a day.
Right.
You've got to be careful that you have to trade the way you trade and the way that you're comfortable. You can't compare yourself to others, right? I mean, we all have different personalities. We all have the different trading profiles. So one of the things I enjoy so much about your personality, Dave, is we're able to joke. We're able to laugh at ourselves. We're able to learn from our mistakes and tease each other. And, one monitor Nick and, all that, it just goes on and on. So thanks for creating such a cool Discord. So
I appreciate it. I hope everybody is getting. I hope everybody will be able to just get a little bit of what you're putting out, and that's my goal, right? If everybody can have their aha moments, that's all we're here for. And yeah, I just can't. I'm really excited about what we have to throw out to you guys, and it's going to start next week. So be on the lookout for that. So. That being said, I appreciate it. Anybody have any questions for Pete? I mean, now that you got him here, you can really drill it in,
Good job, Pete.
Maybe somebody can ask, what does PTP really stand for?
Good job, Pete. That was really good.
Yeah.
That was
really good, man.
Yeah.
you can explain what the difference between a charge and a block.
You had to be there.
Yeah, I have to learn, as you said, to trust the process.
Yes, trust. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it was
love
awesome,
that.
Pete. Thank you.
Trust the process, right? And I got a quick trivia question, or not trivia question, but a quick question for you. How did I go from 10% positive to 1.75% positive without taking a loss? Anybody know the answer to that?
What?
I have a guess.
How did I go from 10% positive, is just a little over 10%, to 1.75 without taking a loss?
I know, but I'm not going to answer. Just like Duke.
You went
Duke
over the
knows
day
'cause
change?
Nope, Duke knows.
That was my guess.
because I told him.
How did you go from 10% to?
Well, I'm on. Well, right before this call, I went from positive 10% to 1.75 without taking a loss, and I'm trying to build it back.
Oh, you just stay in the trade. You didn't come out, get out.
No.
Unrealized.
Nope. There, 50, 50, 90. Got it. I had more than 1,000 trades on already today. And I flipped and broke Alveo. I broke my Alveo. So yes.
Let's go.
So Duke beat me today.
What did you learn?
I learned that Duke can beat me when I flip 1,000 trades. All right, guys, with that, I love it. If you guys don't have any other questions, I love it. I love this presentation. I promise every single week, it's not going to be, I'm not going to put people in here that just, okay, you have to give me a testimonial. I will say I felt really uncomfortable, Pete. But I appreciate it.
Were you uncomfortable in the comfortable?
Yeah, you put me in the hot seat. Roll reversal.
I hope it didn't come off as that. I was really just trying to explain.
No. I didn't. I appreciate it, but I want everybody to know that if you guys are not in the Growth Challenge, get in the Growth Challenge. Get into the live trade room and chain. That's my baby that I put together. Get in that Growth Challenge, trade that Growth Challenge, get to $50,000 in that account, and I'm going to help you guys along the way to hopefully when you have your aha moment, that 10% growth target is going to be really, really easy to hit, and that as long as you guys can hit 1% a day, right? So Blue Rabbit said that we're going to trade tonight after this meeting. No, what I do that is just particularly what I'm going to go to right now is just for the people that are in the hot seat. Now, I don't want to make that an exclusive thing, but for those people in the hot seat, I teach them and at the night times, we do a little bit of, and I'm going to share with them how the hot seat is going to be changing next week. So we do that. We do that occasionally, not every week because I don't want to lock myself down, but this is probably like our third or fourth session that we just do where I take them and do some night trading with them. So again, another lob for get in the Growth Challenge and get your hot seat, right? That's my pitch for you guys. Was it good? Are you guys all sold now? All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the morning.
Thanks, Dave.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Good night.